Sir, may I come in?
Please come.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir.
How are you, Aditi?
I'm good, sir. Thank you.
Aditi, please tell us about your education and work experience, if any.
Yes, sir. So I did my economics honors from Aditi College, University of Delhi. Further, I pursued masters in economics from Delhi School of Economics. During that time, I got the opportunity to work with PwC US Advisory. I worked there for approximately 1.5 years, after which I left my job to pursue preparations.
What was your job profile there?
Sir, I was involved in analytics consulting in healthcare sector.
When did you pass your master's from the school?
Sir, I passed my master's in 2019.
2019?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Professor Uday Bhanu taught you some subject?
Sir, he was there with me for game theory, the basic game theory.
What is the difference between pure strategy and strategy?
Sir, in pure strategy, we have clear outcomes that either we do not assign probabilities that either this outcome will be there with the probability p and 1 minus p. Either we have, say, in an equilibrium, either we will have strategy A or strategy B. So I believe that's the case.
Can you tell me the difference between Nash equilibrium and general equilibrium?
Sir, Nash equilibrium is equilibrium where both the players are playing best response with respect to the strategy of other player. General equilibrium is also a Nash equilibrium. It takes into account it takes into account many factors when general equilibrium is being decided, and not keeping one section constant. Or
does the Cookman optimality is met in case of Nash equilibrium?
Sorry, sir.
Cookman's optimality.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm not aware about this.
No issue. Professor Mosmi taught you some subject?
Yes, sir. She did taught me.
Which subjects?
Sir, macroeconomics.
Macroeconomics. How did you find her?
I believe she is a great professor, and I did relate to her, but I think dynamic macroeconomics is not my profile oriented, so I didn't pursue with her, but I enjoyed my time with her.
Okay, Aditi, how about econometrics and stats? Have you studied in the last semester, I suppose, of masters?
Yes, sir, I did study econometrics.
What is the difference between correlation and causation?
Sir, correlation just signifies how one variable is moving with other variable, but it does not guarantee that there is a causation between the two. It might be a spurious correlation, while causation specifically defines that one variable is causing the other variable to move in a certain way. It's affecting in a certain way.
Can you tell me some of the tests through which we can know the causality?
Sir, I believe Granger test is used to detect causality.
And what is the issue if there is a bicausality between the two variables, independent and independent variable?
Sir, if there is a causality between both of them in the two directions, then it is difficult to define your dependent and which will you take as dependent and independent variable. So,
can you give us an example of any function?
Give me a few seconds, sir.
Oh, yes, sure.
Sir, to take a very macroeconomic example which came top of my mind, I believe, sir, the income affects your consumption, and also consumption demand affects income. Really? So it's a bidirectional.
So consumption is a function of income, as well as
income is also a function of consumption.
So then what exactly the problem you face when you specify your function relationship? Obviously, if you get a bi-directional relationship, then in case of empirical studies, your maybe specification may be wrong, right?
Right, sir. I agree.
Okay, have you studied about the RBI Monetary Policy Committee report, which was on 23rd of September?
Yes, sir. I did go to it.
Can you tell us some of the highlights of that Monetary Policy Committee?
Sir, RBI raised the repo rate by 50 base points this time, and it has been due to the inflationary pressures that economy is facing. Also, there has been adverse geopolitical conditions which further increase inflation in the economy, and it is important to rein that inflation, and hence the repo rate has been increased.
Has been increased to?
To 5.9.
But why? But again, the RBI governor says that okay, in near future we may find increase in the repo rate again. So, do you think that increasing repo rate is the panacea for controlling inflation in the economy?
Sir, I believe that it is one of the methods where we can control inflation by increase repo rate, but it needs to be complemented with the fiscal policies as well, because Indian economy faces more on the supply side inflation and constraints. So while RBI specifically controls the monetary policy side of it, it would be better that if it is complemented with the fiscal policies.
Okay, but you see that because of the Federal Reserve also has increased its repo rate and the bond yields have increased, right?
Right, sir.
So that has put pressure on all the currencies of the world.
Right, sir.
So obviously Indian currency is no exception to it. So that the reason that Indian RBI has also increased the repo rate?
Sir, I believe that it leads to an increase in import inflation in the economy. So I think the major reason to increase repo rates is domestic inflation and domestic parameters, and not necessarily that
Okay,
Fed is.
Let us argue in this manner. Suppose the repo rate has increased and federal government has also increased the repo rate and bond yields have increased. Right? If India will not increase the repo rate, obviously you will find the FDI or capital to be flighting into US, right? And obviously since there is a pressure on the currency of the Indian currency, obviously currency is depreciating.
Right, sir.
So what would you being a suppose one of the member of the committee, what will you take steps to say that your currency is propped up?
So I'll kind of go into the direction which Monetary Policy Committee has already gone, that since currency is facing a lot of pressure towards depreciation, which increase our imports bill, which increases import inflation in the economy. So it is appropriate that we do increase our repo rate, as well as we control volatility in our currency. Although this is not a job of Monetary Policy Committee, but yeah.
No, under flexible exchange rate, one of the reasons could be that okay, if the Indian rupee is falling, obviously RBI will sell out many of its foreign exchange reserves.
Sir, I think RBI does it in two ways. One, is doing it that they only intervene to make sure that currency is depreciating in an orderly fashion. Otherwise, they let the demand and supply forces to determine the exchange rate value.
The argument is that it has limitations, because under flexible exchange rate regime, obviously your exchange rate is determined by the supply and demand for the currency. So if you supply more of dollars, then obviously you will find that the Indian rupee may appreciate, but that has limitations. Why? Because the limitations of the foreign
exchange reserves.
So that is one of the reasons that we cannot also go on investing and try to prop up the value of, because of the Indian rupee has devalued, because of the devaluation also, not you can say because of the appreciating dollars, that our valuation has decreased.
Right, sir.
So in that case also, but don't you think that these steps will again lead to inflation in the economy, particularly food inflation and then second order inflation and spillover effect.
Sir, increasing repo rates or?
Yes, increasing repo rates. The interest rate will also increase. If the interest rate will increase, the inflation will increase, particularly food inflation will increase. So there are lots of vicious circle type relationship.
That is true for every economic phenomena, sir. But I believe to ensure that our relevant sectors like food sector is cushioned, we can.
Because you have heard about the second order effect.
Right, sir. So I think for cushioning these sectors, we can have special provisions where banks are pushed towards lending to these sectors more and at a reasonable rate, and they can charge probably a higher rate on the other sectors.
Aditi, you had already answered before. You said that we will need to look from the supply side also.
Yes, I was trying to answer it from the RBI side, but
no,
yes.
So that is not the answer. In fact, it will lead to. So it will have then because of these things, and the Ukraine war also the supply gets up. There is a lots of global supply chain disruptions.
Right, sir.
So we need to look at that side also. Otherwise, this will continue.
Yes, right, sir. Only trying to gauge inflation from the RBI side would not be the ideal scenario. We need the balance of both.
Then what about, suppose say there is a problem of autocorrelation
Right,
in
sir.
the regression model. How does it will affect the results?
Sir, it will make my my estimators my estimators will not be blue anymore, and
What is the issue of autocorrelation? How do you define that autocorrelation?
sir, autocorrelation exists when my error terms are related to error terms of previous time periods.
Right. How do we detect them?
Sir, we can use various tests. One of it is Durbin-Watson test, which can be used to detect
What is the range of
autocorrelation.
the Durbin-Watson test?
Sir, it's 0 to 4.
Yes. And if the value is 2,
Sir, then we do not have any autocorrelation.
or it is inconclusive.
Sir, I believe 0 to 2 is no autocorrelation.
And 2 to 4?
Sir, in 2 to 4 we have a
0
range.
to 2 you have a negative, and then 2 to 4 you have a positive, and around about 2 is inconclusive, or you can say.
No autocorrelation. Right, sir.
And what is ADF? Augmented Dickey Fuller test.
I believe, sir, it is related to unit identifying the stability and of the time series. I'm not sure, sir. So it was a
And
guess.
what is unit root test then? What is used for?
Sir, it is used to detect the stability in the time series.
Or
If it is
stationarity?
stationarity, right, sir. It's stationarity.
There is a difference between stability and stationarity.
I believe, sir. It's
Because bond test will confirm you, or Kusum test will confirm that whether your model is stable or not.
all right,
That
sir.
means it is divergent of
I meant to use stationarity. That's my mistake.
Okay. Okay, according to Mangal-Fleming model, when is the fiscal and monetary policy effective under, say, different or a different exchange rate regime or a flexible exchange rate?
Sir, fiscal policy is effective when we have a fixed rate regime, while monetary policy is more effective we have a flexible rate regime.
And what is exactly the Mangal-Fleming model?
So, sir, Mangal-Fleming model defines how independent your monetary policy will be if you have capital mobility, free capital mobility, and either fixed exchange rate or flexible exchange rate. How your monetary policy and fiscal policy will affect your will have effects on your economy.
Have you heard about impossible trinity?
Yes, sir, I have.
What is it?
So, sir, impossible trinity defines that if we have a fixed exchange rate and freely flow capital mobility, then we do not have control over a monetary policy. Our monetary policy is no longer independent.
So the three points are
fixed exchange rate, capital mobility, and monetary policy. Sovereign monetary policy.
Very good. So again, I'm coming back to the question that what steps RBI have taken, or say suppose you are one of the policy committee members, that you will take to strengthen the rupee vis-a-vis the dollar.
Sir, one of the steps which RBI has already taken, and I believe it's one of the steps in the right direction, is rupee trade, which it has opened up, where you can trade in the export and imports can take place with respect to rupee. So it will help maintain our foreign exchange reserves. Also,
but many countries will not agree to it.
Sir, that's why we need an infrastructure, and there might be some lag in implementation of that, because we need banks and countries online for that.
I'm again repeating. What steps will you take to strengthen the rupee vis-a-vis dollar?
RBI. I think, sir, increasing repo rates is one of the options.
Obviously, that
which will increase our interest rates, and our capital inflows will increase.
Will increase in the sense, will stop
flowing out.
Flowing out, yes. And then what will happen?
Sir, increase in capital inflows will lead to currency appreciation for rupee vis-a-vis dollar.
But again, still we have heard that again now the day before yesterday, rupee reached to the lowest level, 82, cross 82. That means, again you being a policy member, committee member, you will again increase the repo rate.
Sir, it is not advisable to keep on increasing it, because it leads to a compromise in growth as well on the domestic front.
But the committee report says that it will be hawkish in terms of repo rate. That means they will be aggressive, and you may find another increase in repo rate.
They do, sir, but it is keeping in mind the geopolitical conditions, and to ensure that rupee, one of the reasons that rupee may not depreciate as much or more.
Okay. Have you read time series? Little bit.
I'll not say, sir, I'm proficient in it, but
Okay.
I'll try to.
What are the components of time series? Very simple question.
Sir, the linear trend, the
Yes.
seasonality,
Yes.
the random
Irregular component.
irregular component.
Cyclical, seasonal.
Yes, sir.
And secular or a long
The trend with
Right.
secular trend.
So what is exactly the difference between the seasonal trend and cyclical trend?
So cyclical trend is, as the name suggests, it gets repeated in a cyclical fashion, while seasonal is, say, in a Diwali season we experience higher sales while as compared to others.
Is it really? Or seasonal is it's all about the periodicity of the repetitions.
I'm sorry, sir.
Okay. You say that United Nations has agreed to the Indian suggestions, which was suggested by India in 2018, that 2023 should be the millet years, should be announced as a millet years. Why do you find, or how do you see the millet is related to the food security?
Sir, we believe that millets is has been an important part of Indian dietary habits earlier, but due to excess production of rice and wheat in Green Revolution, and due to provision of MSP, there has been inclination towards growing wheat and rice, but millets are more environmental friendly in the sense they require less water.
Yes.
And they can and promoting them would be more environmentally sustainable and diversification.
It was approved by FAO in 2018, and United Nations General Assembly has declared the year 2023 as the
Millet.
International Year of Millet. And what else about the millet?
Sir, I believe that they are higher in they are also higher in nutrition value,
Yes.
and
So you find that potential in millet production, that it will address the issue of say nutritional security.
they can, sir. They also importantly they'll include diversification in our dietary habits. While we do not depend only on wheat or rice for that.
How do you relate it to other sustainable goals?
Sir, one is
For example, climatic changes.
definitely water consumption, which for wheat and rice is higher as compared to millets. Also,
Wheat being thermally sensitive, so obviously crop and paddy being what?
sir, they
Major
require
contribution of
methane emissions, right?
So obviously, if the millet can easily replace them and has a nutrition value as well. So this is how
This
it
is-
is also related to the other sustainable goals.
All right, sir. I didn't think in that direction. Thank you, sir.
Alright, so please. So you may find on system of a food security, millet has a very high potential.
Right, sir.
And it can not only address the food security, but it can also address the nutrition
nutritional
security as well
security.
as some of the other sustainable goals like
Right, sir.
climatic changes.
Right,
Because
sir.
wheat is a thermally sensitive product, say grain, and rice is obviously one of the major contribution of methane production. So
Sir, I like to add one point. I think millets are also more resistant towards pest infections.
yes, there can be, but we are trying to see food security and sustainable goals.
Right, sir.
So that is the argument. Okay, just last questions, okay, from my side. What is crowding out effect?
So when government is increasing its expenditure, it tends to decrease the available amount which private sector can borrow. So it leads to crowding out where private investment decreases due to increase in government expenditure.
And what is the difference between classical demand for money and Keynesian demand for money?
Sir, classical demand for money, they take into account. Sir, give me a second.
Yes, take your time.
Sir, very Keynesian demand for money takes into account transaction demand, speculation demand, and precaution demand. Also, it takes into account the interest rate, the way interest rate affects your money demand. But classical money demand only takes into account the changes which happens with nominal income.
How do you differentiate in terms of function? If I ask you to write in terms of function, MD, suppose demand for money, is a function of?
MD is a function of PY, which and that Keynesian is a function of KY minus HI, where it takes into account interest rate as well.
Can you write it here?
Yes, sure, sir.
What is MD is equal to PT?
Sir, the money demand is the amount of money we demand is the nominal amount of transactions in the economy.
So what does the finally the Fisterian equation comes up to be?
Sir, the more advanced part, which was mv is equals to py, where v is your velocity, and PY is a nominal income. So when you take velocity on the other side, it comes out to be a proportion of your nominal income.
You have been working with Price Water Commission, PwC, is it?
Yes, sir.
Stand for that?
Price Water Coopers.
Price Water Commission. What is the arena of work of the PwC?
Sir, it's majorly auditing, but I was involved in analytics consulting.
What was the nature of your job there precisely?
Sir, I was with a client which was in healthcare insurance market. We were working on our objective was to improve their star ratings of their insurance plans.
So how the knowledge of your economics contributed in any manner?
Sir, when I was using data analytics to understand why things are happening, why things are not performing well, some of the things which I learned in my economics came in handy. For example, how to take insights out of your various plots, your bar charts, your trend charts. These things came in handy at that time.
We have done a project on financial inclusion.
Yes, sir.
Of informal enterprises.
Yes, sir.
What is financial inclusion?
Sir, financial inclusion could be defined as simply the access to financial services, which includes also access to credit to vulnerable sections at fair and low cost.
What is its benefit?
Sir, so
Divided the inclusion of the people in the financial sector. What is the benefit of it?
Sir, from the welfare side, it makes it available to vulnerable people for formal credit, which has a lower cost and which has a lower cost basically, and also from the other side, which is from the economy side, this will include people in the formal sector, which will increase economy as economic activity.
How is it expected to benefit the economy at the macro level?
So sir, so it will increase our banking outreach. It will increase our financial. It will deepen our financial markets. It will develop credit history of people. It will also ensure that we can further go ahead and innovate in digital lending, which we are already doing.
Anything to do with increase in GDP and employment?
So, when we have a larger section in the formal sector in access to formal credit at decreased cost, it can lead to employment generation, where self-help groups have been a great example towards that.
Are you aware of the different publications by RBI?
Sir, I am aware of few.
What is that?
Sir, recently they released future expectation surveys, consumer sentiment survey.
So regular publications, I am asking about regular publications.
There is a financial stability report, then there is an annual report of RBI and monetary policy report.
And RBI report on currency and finance?
Sorry sir, I have not gone through it.
Okay. So you should go through the important publications of RBI also.
Sure, sir.
You should be aware of the job or the area of
Right,
working
sir.
of the RBI, because you are appearing for the RBI grade D officers. You should be well versed of all those publications, number
Right,
one. Secondly, its area of work. And thirdly, the important contents of those reports.
Right, sir.
Understand?
Right, sir. I'll surely work on it.
Yeah.
And Aditi, just when you are asked to write in functional form, simply write down MD is a function of whatever is a function of income
okay.
in case of classicals, and MD becomes a function of
Income and interest rate.
income and I or R, whatever. So
Okay, sir. I didn't.
I know. Aditi, okay. Now you can relax. Aditi. Feedback from our side is already sir has said you that you must go through the RBI publications, because since you are appearing for RBI grade B, they will ask you much things on RBI report, policy committee report, and the latest one topic which we did not touch is the digital currency of the
Currency.
rupee which they
Right,
have
sir.
launched.
Yes, sir. I think yesterday they have launched
Yes.
pilot.
So I hope you have studied and
Yes, sir.
please go through it thoroughly and relate it to the how it will be different from currency.
Right, sir.
And you being a RBI personnel, how it will affect monetary reserves, money supply,
Right, sir.
right? Whether it will lead to increase in excess reserve of the bank,
Right, sir.
or so you have to read in this way. You have to be
The
different from-
implications of a
Yes,
decision.
you have to be different, look or sound
Right,
different
sir.
from other general students, right?
Right,
You are
sir.
not, so because you are appearing flat, and we must admit that your personality is very pleasant, and just keep it up. You don't
Thank you,
require
sir.
any change in this. Okay?
Thank you, sir.
Your way of answering is also very articulated and
Thank you, sir.
well presented.
Very fair chance to be selected.
Very fair chance.
That's a relief, sir.
So
And,
you have no concern. You have I have written also. You have a very pleasant personality. Keep it up.
Thank you,
Have to
sir.
be presented in this manner. And please see our RBI publications and current economic affairs as well.
Right, sir.
RBI publications.
At least yes, we have written it. And
A minor suggestion that here we are only 2 members, but in the
Yeah.
actual board we will be facing 6-7 members. At
So
least
I have to look around
maintain
and
an eye contact with all the
Yes,
members.
I realized, sir, that I was just talking to
Yeah.
him and
You maintain eye contact with all the members.
that's okay.
I agree, sir. I agree.
No, it's obvious when somebody asks you, obviously you will look towards him. So that becomes a natural tendency as well. So I don't think that is an issue.
60-70% contact with those who are asking the question
And
rest of the contact with-
not completely alienating from
Yeah,
other
yeah.
board.
But okay, very well. But do keep reading.
Yes, sir.
Because each and every member does the marking.
Yes, sir. I
And
believe
if
they
you are not
observe
paying
your
attention,
body
they will
language
take it
and
as
other
well.
things. Yes, sir.
So here you have to be practical.
Yes, sir.
And since it's a very personality test also, you must generally say, people like say, and sometimes some of the members may tell you that, okay, Aditi, just tell me like a layman, if you are explaining to a layman.
Right, sir.
But don't fall into that trap. You always suggest candidate not to fall into that trap, because that layman is also a learned man.
Okay. So, sir, if a term is thrown at me and they are saying that explain it in a layman term, if you are explaining it, so then I should try to explain it in a simpler term, not use
No,
economic
you should always
jargons.
sound like an economic graduate.
All right,
Or-
sir.
or-
This
or-
is
or-
insightful,
Yes.
sir.
So that is the only. Otherwise, what is the use of studying economics?
Right, sir.
So never fall into that trap.
Right, sir.
So there may be a questions on convertibility or a partial.
अभी insist करो तो थोड़ा
Yeah.
simplify कर दो
You
आप.
may
Right,
simplify,
sir.
but there is always a standard definition, and it is.
You have to
Yes, and it
be
is-
at certain level since you are
and it
coming
is-
from an
and
economics
it is
background.
specific to the subject, obviously. Many
Right, sir.
terms are like sine qua non. You have you define something and you are
Yes.
using the word sine qua non. So you should use those terms. No issue.
Yes, sir.
The assumption of postulate, you can say all the postulates or wherever. So that means whenever you are answering, that you should sound like economic graduate. That is the only suggestion which we give you.
Thank you, sir.
Very well done. You are impressed.
Sir, I have a question. So I have been facing this problem, sir. I anticipated that there could be this question that what advice you will give to the governor, or like you asked that if you are a member of policy committee, then what would you do? So I am facing a problem that if in controlling inflation or like we
There is always
discussed
a
the
trade-off.
precision.
There is always a trade-off. Because you see, the two major objectives of the RBI is what? Growth and stabilization of
Inflation.
yes, stabilization of prices.
Right, sir.
So obviously there will be a trade-off in this.
Right, sir.
The twin objective, it's just like a dilemma.
Right, sir. So if I am specifically asked that if to control inflation, what other steps
Obviously,
could RBI take?
Yes, other, as you said, you answered it very well. That fiscal policy also intervention
Right.
is needed, or a supply side has to be checked.
Right, sir.
That is what even Professor Arun Kumar on debate said. If you are listening to him,
I didn't listen to him, sir, but this is
he was my
I-
guru in JNU.
right, sir.
So obviously there is not always an ideal answer. There cannot be an ideal answer only in economics, I can tell you. So you present your best and whatever happens.
Okay, sir. Sir, could I be asked questions on subjects I have studied in Delhi School of Economics? Because I am not really updated with the.
No, RBI, you should. Because when you are going to RBI, at least monetary policy aspect, maybe they ask you
More on application part.
Right, sir, but not like game theory and development and all those
But
things.
there may be like as you said,
A
your
basic
professor,
question, yeah.
That knowledge has already been
All
tested
tested.
in your written
Right, sir.
examination.
So even if you are not answering, it doesn't matter.
Alright, sir.
Right. So you don't have to worry. You don't get disheartened there.
This is your personality test.
Yes. Even if you are not answering consecutively 4 questions, you should say, sorry sir, I don't know. So,
Okay, sir.
it's only that Professor Uday is my batchmate. Then I asked you what subject he's teaching.
So I didn't mention in the interview, but yeah, he was one of my favorite teachers because I feel that his way of teaching is, it reaches to you. So yes,
Mosby, Professor Mosby and
it's professional.
Uday are my batchmates in JNU.
Alright, sir.
So okay, I thank you. You may take you.
One final point
Yes, sir.
you should keep in mind, that the nature of work, the function of RBI is not static in nature.
Right, sir.
It is a dynamic organization, and different policies and steps that RBI initiate, that is in the context of the present scenario of the economy.
Right, sir.
When the inflation has to be controlled, when
Right,
the
sir.
deflation has to be controlled, when the money supply is required to be increased, when it is required to be contracted. This
Right,
is
sir.
called dynamism. So
Right,
you
sir.
have to suggest measures to the RBI governor in the present context. There is no thumb rule.
Right, sir.
You should keep it in mind, and your answer should be in the light of this reality.
Right, sir.
Understand?
Right, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All the
sir.
best.